right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Would you do roll call, please?
Matt Elliott,
Present.
Jon Draper, Tal Rancourt, Pam Brewer, Jack Comley,
Here.
This is a quorum, right?
Yes,
Three?
we do
Yeah,
have a
also,
quorum.
yeah. Okay, I'll
3 to a quorum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda in the minutes. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All right, been moved and properly seconded to approve the agenda and the minutes as typed. Is there, please poll the board.
Okay, so to be clear, it was you that approved and then Pam second?
John, or, excuse me,
Jack.
Jack seconded it.
Okay.
Pam moved it, Jack second.
Matt Elliott,
Yes.
Jack Comley,
Yes.
Pam Brewer.
Motion carries. Thank you. Any public comments? Request to speak on the expended? Thank you. All right, new business, Resolution 2025, Town of Lake Placid Water System Asset Management and Physical Sustainability Plan.
Can you pull up that report? Where is it? Should have been attached. Eagle was gonna do it. Not there? It's a huge file. Don't worry about it. Okay, Resolution 2025-11, Town of Lake Placid, Water System Asset Management and Fiscal Stability, Sustainability Plan. Okay, we're looking for approval on this to take to commission. A little background on this one, the board had, this is a two-part asset plan. You guys authorized the wastewater system plan back, I believe it was in December. This is the second part of it. Florida Rural Water put it together for us, and it is part of DEP. Gives us the ability to apply for further grants and loans. This gives us, this part of it gives us all our assets on the water side, and they break it down, and then on this side, they put in a possible rate study with the increases, but that will be brought back to the board here and to commission. I believe it's next month. So all we're looking for is recommendation to adopt the Lake Placid water system asset management and fiscal sustainability plan. I forwarded this to you a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you all had time to review it. It's pretty in detail, but most of it's just the data on the back of the water system, plants and all that. So I just wanted to get out to you early so you have a chance to look at it, get you familiar with it. Just to clarify, we're not talking about rate studies on this or rate increases. It's just the adoption of the actual asset management plan.
says it on the top of the papers, Pam. You see it up here? On each page of it, if you're looking for it. Take your time. It's about that far in. You're just looking for a motion to recommend this to the council?
Yes, but I think Pam's just finding it and getting a referral. Just want to make sure she has the information she needs. Yeah, we're just approving just the acceptance of the plan, not the rate of study, nothing else. It's just, it's the second part of the wastewater. This is the water side. This gives us the ability to apply for grants and loans. This puts us in compliance.
Just need a motion to approve it.
Yeah, okay. I make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-11, the Town of Lake Placid Water System Asset Management and Fiscal Sustainability Plan.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the asset management and fiscal sustainability plan. Please poll the board.
Jack Comley,
Yes.
Pam Brewer. Matt Elliott.
Yes. Okay. I go back to my agenda. All right. DEP grant watershed hookup recommendations.
Which one was that one?
That's item B on new
Okay,
business.
So basically, the next B, C, and D are basically the questions we went over at the round table, and we're just looking for recommendations on how the board wants to proceed with those. So I don't know why she put Grant-Wastewater hookups in there. It's basically, she probably put it in there. I attached utility code ordinance from Palm Bay, which is based on the Florida statute. That is on all grants that have mandatory hookups for water and wastewater. So basically, I attached that for your information. You know, how we talked about before with, we're not going to get any revenue unless we kind of get the mandatory hookups, or we're not going to be eligible for grants and loans too. So basically, we're just looking for your recommendation on the hookups for wastewater and water as mandatory or not. And then we can go from there. But just remember, if you don't have the mandatory hookups, you're not going to get any more connections. And that's the funding for the utility department. So, we have pipes in the ground that are going to be sitting there and not being used. So,
what's the proposed time frame for the mandatory hookup?
Oh, if
I mean, once the line is,
there's a process, before the line's in, you have to notify the public. When the line's going in, you have to notify it, and then you send out another notification. When the line's in front of their home, they have 1 year to hook up.
1 year, okay, that's what I was,
But there's like a 3-year process of notifications and stuff. And that's in the statute that the ordinance should be attached with this one. It's basically shadowing the Florida statute.
okay.
Is that in there? Did you guys have that in your folder?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it was supposed to be attached.
It may be. I don't. What does it look like?
That's the Palm Bay one, but
Okay,
they're stating the statute, Florida statute.
okay, uh-huh. All right.
Do you have that in yours, Pat?
Sure I did. Red on top. So many trees here. That's past the management plan or it's in it?
That's gonna be way past that.
That's all the management plan. In here maybe? That's looking at it.
That was way near the back of the package?
Yes, sir. About that much into the back.
Okay,
There it is. with the
okay,
red-
there it
with the
is, yeah,
brown.
okay, yeah, I see it.
I think that's it.
All right. So if, let's say the wastewater treatment plant goes into operation in January or February of next year, right? Then, assuming you get, well, maybe that's not the right way to say it. The first things you're proposing to hook up are Tomoka Heights, right, which is already,
Yeah,
you're just,
we're looking for grants to finish up
you know,
Tomoka.
and the small treatment plant where the mobile homes are, and,
So basically, right now, we're decommissioning the south plant. It'll stay online till the new one comes in. And then the one at Public Works over here would be the north plant is getting converted over to the new one. And then the last one we'll have is Tomoka.
okay. So assuming that you get the grants that you need to do that work in a reasonable period of time, you know, what would be the your estimate of a time frame for actually running new lines, the first new lines to connect new customers to the,
So there are some lines in the installed now that we could start using this. For the conversion over there, everything's done. We just have to wait for the grant, and then it'd be bids and then work, you know. So everything's in place to go out to bids if we can find a grant for it, so.
okay, so if you said, let's just say all that takes a year.
Minimum of a year.
Okay, a minimum of a year, right? And that would be then that new line or lines would be ready to accept new customers at that time.
Right.
And then you have to notify
So that, you know, if we got the grants then, that'd be the first notification.
okay,
The second one is, you know, when the, you know, if it's more than a year to complete construction, the second one would go out saying within a year, the lines will be in front of your house. third notification would go out when the lines are in front of the houses, and then they have 365 days to reconnect.
So then realistically, you'd be looking at, what, 3 or 4 years before,
Yeah.
from today, let's say?
Right.
Before, okay,
But
I just
now-
wanted to get a rough idea.
But now for existing lines in the ground, it might be a shorter period. you know.
Right, yeah, yeah. Okay,
It's not an overnight thing, no.
So where there is service, there would be a availability fee if you didn't pay, which would kind of encourage people to, I mean, if you didn't hook up, excuse me.
That's something we'd have to discuss.
Okay?
Sebring has some, I don't know if it's an ordinance or not. If you have a septic and you don't want to hook up, you still pay a wastewater fee.
Right.
But that's something we can discuss.
You think that's something we need to do, or?
Well, yeah, I think so, because we'd have to kind of make it our own, you know. We
Right.
don't want to make it too painful on anybody, but we want to make it, you know, so they have to connect, and that way we can keep the utility stable and stuff like that.
Right.
So, but the, you know.
So if it's there and you're not hooked up, you need to pay, and if
Right.
you do need, if it's there and you want to hook up, you would just pay and use it,
Right, right. So-
correct? Or any future stuff, you would have to hook up to it if it comes through.
Right. So basically, this is trying to get the answers for the Highland County stuff and for us to, you know, try to stabilize the utility, so.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, if we're gonna apply for grants, not use them, the state's not gonna give you the grant.
Right.
so. You know, it's a tough one. It's a sour pill, I know that.
Use your mic.
Considering doing away with Highway Park and Tomoka Heights sewer plants.
One more time, I'm sorry.
Are you going to do away with Highway Park and
Not Highway Park, we're doing the south plant,
Tomoka Heights?
Tomoka Heights, and the old north wastewater plant, which is right next to the new one, so.
But you're giving up that capacity.
No, yeah, the capacity's going to the plant, but those old plants are in bad shape, and we have to repermit them and then rehab them. So that's why we're going to have the new wastewater plant, and then it'll be better on staff because we only have to maintain the one plant.
But you couldn't use it for a backup plant or anything like that?
You probably could if you wanted to, but it's going to be very expensive because you have to repermit them, you have to rehab them. So that's basically why they want to decommission them and get everything down to the new plant.
I hate to see giving up the plant because you might need it in the future.
You might need it in the future, but for example, the Tomoka one, you know, that serves that one area. To use it as a backup or anything else, you'd have to run pipes all over the place to get back to it, you know what I mean?
But what are you going to do with the pipes that are in there now?
Well, there's going to be a lift station there, which will connect everything, and then they'll decommission the carousels and all that, you know, so. It's just a fiscal thing, you know, why put money into something that's, you know, served its purpose very good, but it's falling apart, so. And
I just
then
worry.
then we can keep all the staff in one central area. They're not traveling around taking care of plants. They'll be at the main one up on Public Works.
I just worry about, you've already got it permitted and everything.
Right, I understand where you're going with that, but this is the plan that was given to me to go with, so.
If there be a way to mothball it, I'm thinking of something catastrophic happening to the main plant, like a tornado that, you know.
Right, but then trying to direct the flows back to them, you know, because you already decommissioned them, You got the pipes going for the new 2 lift stations going down the south plant in Tomoka when they go in. So it's, no, the cost, there's a lot of cost to that, so.
I just worry about, you know, you can use it as
Mike?
a bargaining chip, you know, with if you ever need in the future.
I'm not sure what their plans are to do with the properties, but they have been permitted for wastewater plants. In the future, if, you know, if there's enough room on there, it could be redeveloped for future development, you know, because the property's already been permitted for a plant, so. But, you know, just to have them mothballed and sitting there, they're just gonna fall apart worse, you know, because they're not being used. You know, the tanks are gonna be empty, they're gonna dry, cement's gonna dry out, crack. So I'm just looking for a recommendation.
Right. Because we need revenue, we need effluent running through that plant to keep it going, because it's not running efficiently, messes up the microbes when it's low.
Correct.
You know, it's
You know, even if
a constant battle.
we're diverting everything there, it's gonna be around 300,000 gallons a day.
Right, which is nothing.
Then you got another 700,000 sitting there empty, so.
If we're not going to use it or make people hook up, then, you know, nobody wants to be the bad guy and say that, you know, you got to hook up, but I like the links.
I just, the more backups you have, you know, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. That's all I'm thinking is, you know, we don't want to get in a situation where, you know, that's it and something happens.
Well, all that's a done deal, closing the plants, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, it's a done deal that we're gonna pipe everything to the new plant. We could always have a discussion on the other two. I believe the south plant's just too small to do anything with. It's in bad shape. Maybe we could do something with Tomoka, but that's another conversation.
I'm just saying you've got X amount of gallons per day that you're authorized to treat there. Okay, say you want to build something on down south, you can use those gallons per day, you know, to...
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, that you'd have a spot. Or you could add on to it or build it, whatever. But that could be, that's a totally different conversation. We can talk about the decommission of them or what we want to do with them later on, so. But we can't do nothing unless we start getting revenue, so.
So we understand he's looking for a recommendation to, if the sewer isn't available, you pay an availability fee, or if it comes by you, you have to hook up when your septic fails.
So
what you're
basically
saying?
what I'm looking for, these are our questions from last time. Do we want the mandatory hookups? Or do we not? And if we do not, we're gonna have difficulties finding grants and finding loans to keep moving on. Because it's a stipulation by DEP under the statute, was it, the 203.01. So that's in the grants now, but now they're starting to say, okay, if you're not gonna do it, we're enforcing it, we're not gonna be passing out
Right.
further grants and loans.
What was
No.
the paragraph number for the DEP?
Well, I think that's the general provision right there. Let's see if I hear by attain. Oh, I'm sorry, here, it's Act 511, 511, Act 5, Section 2B, Florida Constitution, Florida Statutes 166.021.
Okay, Act 5, Section 2B.
Yeah.
A little slower for me, I'm trying to write it down.
Oh, here, show it.
Oh, this is the same one I have in here.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's the one you have right now.
okay, see, this is what's confusing me here.
No, we put both of them in there. so you-
No, but the question is, in that act, okay, so, this, it says, the city may waive the requirement for mandatory connection or grant a variance to a property. So in other words, if they're going to go by that, that's what confused me.
Yes.
Is because they are allowing, and in fact, your act, whatever, it says that a local government or water or sewer district in any of the following areas shall not be required to issue a variance, where's the other part? May, with the approval of the department, waive the requirement of mandatory disposal and connection. Somewhere in here it says connection is not mandatory. That gives you an out for mandatory connections. So logically, if that's the case, then we would think, okay, then are they giving up their ability to get grants? I don't think that they would do that. So I did an AI search to find out what is the standing. Can we get a grant without mandatory connections? And from what I found, you can get a grant without mandatory connections.
My understanding of it is, like I said,
But why would you want to?
No, but at least we need the information when we make a decision.
yes. Yeah, no,
That it's
it-
not precluding getting grants, it's just a matter of whether we want to require it for revenue.
Oh, no, you can put, if you install the pipes with your own financing, there's no mandatory.
But no, I think it's, see, I'm not clear. We've been told that if we
Right.
don't have mandatory connections, we will never, ever get a grant again. And I'm questioning that because of what I read here, where variances and exemptions are allowed. So that's when I did a little research, and
Right.
I asked the AI, I twisted the question like 3 or 4 different ways. Is mandatory connection required in order to get a DEP, Florida DEP grant? And the answers all came back, it is not. Mandatory connections are not required to get a grant. So all I'm trying to say is that, let's get this cleared up, because we're basing our decision on requiring a connection on 2 things. Is it the revenue requirement, or is it the perception that we have to do it in order to get a grant?
Well, I don't, not doubting the AI, but it might not be, interpreting it the way it's written. So,
So-
but the biggest thing here is for the revenue,
Yeah.
for us. So basically, these are our 3 questions. If you want to do mandatory, it's yes, and if you don't, that's fine. So that's all I'm looking for today. I just put this in there so you could see it. But like I said, this is a recommendation I'm looking from you, and then whatever way it goes, we take it to town commission. Council, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Pam Pinterest, 12373 Lost Lake Drive, Lake Placid. So, House Bill 1379 that went into effect July 1st, 2023, states that it's mandatory. There's little caveats. If you have the advanced septic tank system that's like $20,000, you don't have to hook up to central sewer. If you're over an acre in property, blah, 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 you don't have to hook up. There's certain little things with that. I understand what you're saying. We've been told that you're not going to get a DEP grant unless you have mandatory in there, and perhaps the wording should have said it's highly unlikely to get a DEP grant. And I know you're saying variance, but I would ask what year that Florida statute was passed,
Okay.
because in 2022, the law was different versus 2023. And by 2030, it is 100% mandatory for all these things to be in compliance, to be hooked up.
Well, then let's do a little more research, because I asked the AI to show me the statute or the regulation that states it's mandatory. And
To
it
get
said
the grant.
to
I'm
mandate,
just-
yeah, that, show me the statute that says in order to get a grant, it's mandatory. And it could not give me the statute or any kind of code. So I think that bears more investigation, because if we're making a decision on something that may or may not be 100% correct,
Right, so instead of, what I would do is I would contact DEP staff and get it directly from them. But then you're also gonna have to trust your staff. If a DEP staff member at the state level tells them, yeah, you can apply all you want, and there's a caveat where you may not have to have it, but I'm just telling you, then you're not gonna get the grant. I mean, you're gonna have to, it's, I think you want mandatory hookup for the existing users, the ones where you got the $40 million grant for, those project areas. So if someone, the new zoning changes that went before town council with the plan developed, even on Lake Drive East, they had to sign a form. If it's contiguous with the town, we will annex. When sewer comes before our in front of our house, we're hooking up. Doesn't matter if they put in a $20,000 advanced treatment system to their own house. When central sewer comes by, boom. And I don't think they even have a year. I think it's shorter than that. And I'm gonna talk on both sides of the mouth, so I think you do need mandatory. I think it's because of state law, not because of utility department needs cash revenue or cash flow. The other hand of that, I don't think it's gonna be successful. In the beginning, town council said, we're gonna charge every single existing user $13,000 to hook up. Then you had a lot of pushback from the public, like June Point, Placid Lakes, other areas. Then they went complete reversal. It's free. You know, we'll septic to sewer as we get the grant. And that's how, it doesn't matter if it really costs that for that one person, $50,000, for this person it was $8,000. So I think Bert, when he presented to y'all in May, he's now floating around $1,000 for existing person that's in even the town limits. What I think you need to understand or try to comprehend, not all people have $1,000 readily available. And some people can drop $20,000, it's not a big deal. Maybe a principle of the thing. But if you're gonna say it's mandatory, that they must hook up when it's, you know, a quarter of a mile or wherever it is, then I think that the town council or this committee has responsibility to low-income individuals, those in the poverty area, and there has to be a waiver or some kind of system in that people get help hooking up. And I know in other counties, they do 20 years. It goes on your property taxes where people can pay over time. I just think this is all new to us in other areas, and I've never paid a water bill or a sewer bill. You can say, where you been? I've been in Lake Placid and Orange Grove. So I'm just saying, but we are rural, and most of y'all have water bills, I would gather. A lot of us don't, and so once you start not just the water bill, but the sewer bill, and the base rate, and the flow rate, the charges, and they're gonna have to pay to hook up, and they're gonna have, so I think, and that's not a discussion for today, I think it's cut and dry, it's mandatory. But whose responsibility is it to help them, not the new development, not the people on State Road 70 and not over here, but the people in Southtown, the people in other areas of the town limits, and I'll skip Tomoka Heights. They have town's central water currently. When they came in under agreement that they'll never be annexed into town. And that's the only area that I know. I'm just saying, I know this isn't your concern, but big picture, annexation comes along with central sewer and water in my mind. They'll never be annexed in, so that's part of it. I'm getting kind of sidetracked, but it's a big component to say it's mandatory and then and not know and that will cost you $10,000. It's mandatory, but that's free. It's mandatory, but so it's hard but I think the state law trumps it. And I know Joy, you're asking about the grant part of it. Is it mandatory for a grant? And is that what you're asking for today, the grant part of it, or you're asking mandatory for
I
hookup?
just want to know which way you guys want to go.
Right,
That's
so
it.
two, like you said, it's two different issues, but they kind of go hand in hand. If the plan is to, we do septic to sewer conversion as we get a state or federal grant, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand, but I think state law is going to trump it. It is mandatory. Your 2050-year comp plan amendment, unless y'all change it, that what's being discussed this year, it already says it in there, in the LDRs, land development regulations. It's mandatory. You've already agreed to it in the past. Not, you can change things, but it's bigger than just Lake Placid.
So basically, I just put that in for informational. So the question I'm asking, do you want mandatory or do you involuntary? You know, I mean, which way do you want to go?
Well, I agree with
These are based on the questions we had at the roundtable. That's all it is.
You know, there needs to be a way to figure out, everybody pays for it because everybody is going to be using it, even current customers. So you could have a service availability fee that you put on everybody's bill every month to collect this to help these people out that are going to be mandated to get on the sewer.
It's easy for us to say because we would not test the current customer.
So basically, you know, whatever way we go, if we go one way, there's places out there that give low-interest loans for long periods of time. You can put it on the utility bill for 20 years, but we're not looking for that. We just want to see which direction we're going, and then we figure that out. Then we'll sit down and bring, check out, investigate other areas that have done this, see what their ordinances look like. I just put this in for informational, what it would kind of look like. So basically, we're just looking for connect, don't connect, mandatory. So that's the only answer I'm looking for. That's it. But it just is giving you food for thought, which way you want to go and the impact what's going to be. So.
And I just say that so that we make the decision based on, is it because of revenue or is it because of the grants?
Or state law.
It's based on state law and basically revenue for the utility. You have to support that new plan.
But the example you gave us in the packet
it's-
says that there could be variances to hookup. So if it's state law, how can they grant a variance?
So, like I said, that's another part after we figure out which way we want to go. Then we can sit down, get DEP involved, get all the statements, different ordinances. This is just to see which way you guys want to go, connect or not connect, mandatory. So, all the other stuff was just informational so you know what the impact may be, which way you go.
But he's needing an answer, so.
Can we table it until we,
These are the questions that Highland counties are asking us for their comp plan. So I'm trying to get the answers for them. So, like I said, we're not committing to nothing. You just let me know which way the board wants to go. And that'll give us a path which way we have to go forward.
And it's just a recommendation to the town.
It's just a recommendation. So,
Then they do with it what they, y'all be the bad people.
I
But
know
we're just
it's a
putting a
sore
Band-Aid on
subject,
if we
but-
don't hook up. We're just,
So we're just, like I
it's like
said,
building a garage and never putting your car in it, it's just,
well, if you run the sewer, you got to make them hook up so that you can pay for it, so,
is that a motion?
yes.
Okay. How we want to state that motion? Let's do it a little clearer.
I say that we approve the Grant-Wastewater hookup recommendation.
that's it.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Did you get the motion?
Do you want, I did not write the motion down. do you want
Okay,
me?
you want to repeat your motion?
Okay. It's B under new business. The DEP grant wastewater hookup recommendation. We approve it.
And I second it.
Seconded.
Okay.
Poll the board, please.
Pam Brewer,
Yes.
Jack Comley,
Yes.
Matt Elliott,
Yes.
Okay, the next one is the question we had about what to install, gravity or low pressure. Looking for a recommendation from you. My opinion is low pressure because of the cost. We can get more people on it. But if there's a spot where, gravity is possible and at a fair price, that could be considered. So what I'm kind of asking is, to the discretion of the utility director and the boards, we discussed where we're going to put low pressure and gravity sewers in.
I make a motion that we put in gravity where it makes sense and low pressure everywhere else.
Yeah, well, I'd probably go on cost feasibility of the gravity.
Is there a second for that?
I second that with the condition that,
Can't change a condition. You can amend the motion after it's seconded, but
So you want me to withdraw and you make the recommendation?
why don't we do that? Let her withdraw her motion, you
okay,
make the,
yeah, all right.
how you want it to be.
I'm sorry, yeah. Okay. I make a motion that find the right one here. The DEP grant wastewater gravity and sewer pressure recommendation be approved with the following conditions, all right? That the gravity sewers be put in wherever it's feasible and reasonably economical, right? And that the board be able to sit down with the design engineer and look at their recommendations and see whether we agree with them or whether we can come to some kind of a compromise.
Get that?
Okay, so was it Pam that?
He's moving the motion now. She's withdrawn her motion.
Okay, gotcha. And who is seconding it?
Yeah, I withdrew mine.
You withdrew hers.
So she's asking for a second.
It's going to be Jack's motion now.
Okay. But
Yeah.
who is seconding Jack's motion?
It would have to be Pam.
Yeah.
I can't second it, I'm the chair.
Tell me again what your motion is.
My motion was, initially was the same as yours, right? With the addition that the board be able to sit down with the design engineers once they come up with their recommendations, and we review it and see whether we agree with it, or whether, if we don't, can we come to a compromise between them and us.
Okay, I'll second his motion.
Okay, and you have the motion down, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I have Jack Comley,
Yes?
Pam Brewer.
Yep, is there any discussion before we pull the board?
Okay.
Thought you were going to read the motion, sorry. Good.
Pam Petros, I think you're opening yourself up if you're going to say, and then this board sits down with the engineers to go over, and they did, I'm just going to use like June Point, for example. There were public hearings that came before town council also. They proposed low pressure versus gravity. The gravity was 11 million. Low pressure was like 2 million, 2.5 million. And that was maybe 2 years ago. I don't know if you wouldn't double the prices, but So I understand what you're saying, you would sit down there and certain things, but I'm not sure if that's realistic. And then two, how do you say, okay, this neighborhood, I mean, I can understand if, I'm just gonna have to say what I say. Lake June Point, if y'all will be willing to come up with the additional 9 million, that's a part of it, but how do you treat one area differently than you treat the other areas? If the engineers, and they've already come up, and the consultants have already said they think low pressure works best in that area. And just like it was a good thing Tal was here that day when he's talking about Placid Lakes, and I know that's off limits, not in the service area, not in Lake Placid Regional Plan, but he said those canals are all muck, and so therefore you can't have gravity fed in that area. You must have, there's some things that are not geographical, but whatever the word is, where you can't do one system or the other. But then another part of it's going to have to be the price. Like, what if you only get $3 million a year for this conversion, if that? And then does one neighborhood hog 3 or 4 years worth of that because they want gravity? I don't know how that plays into the motion on the table, but to say that this board sits down with consultants, and I don't know what that means. You get to discuss, you get to say, but if they've already presented to you the cost estimates and the different things, how would that work, I guess?
Right.
Okay, well, first of all, my understanding is that the proposal that they made for Take Lake June Point was to run the gravity sewer behind the homes that are on the lakeside of the road. Okay?
It was down the middle of the street.
Well, that's not what we were told.
Well,
Because we were told that it was going to sink in the marsh. Well, there's no marsh in that road. That road is 20 feet above the water level.
So basically, what you're recommending is every time we do something, we have to bring it towards the board. It should be based on a cost factor. You know, so if one gravity cost, we'll say 6 million, and the low pressure's 2 million, that means I can get 3 more systems put in for that price.
But what is the maintenance going to be on the gravity, on the pressure system over 10, 20, 30 years?
The maintenance of the pipes are low because they're being cleaned by every time one of the lift stations come up, one of the stations come on. Gravity is the same thing. So maintenance is going to be in the pumps and the control panels. So,
Right, and from what I've heard from other people that have them, right, they wind up having to replace them every 10 years or so. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what these people are telling me.
But the town's taking that responsibility over, so the recommendation, the engineer will tell you, the best way to do it, but it'd be probably based on cost factor. So.
Okay, well then I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. So basically, we're just trying to see which way you want to go. These are the questions we went over at the round table. So it sounds like you prefer gravity over the low pressure, but now you're going to talk cost. So just whatever way you guys want.
Gravity's been done for hundreds of years. It works.
It does, but not in all topographies. You can't make water run uphill.
Well, I ride my bike in Lake June Point every day, right? And I can start from let's say the south end or from where the entrance gate is, right? And most of the roadway from those 2 points is sloping north.
Yeah.
Right? So the proposal that they have is to run the line the other way, uphill.
So that's.
So,
But they are the engineers, I'm not. So basically, just looking, like I said, which way you wanted to go. We talked about that at the round table. So whatever recommendation you want, that's what we're looking for.
Okay, so like I said, I'm withdrawing my recommendation for that one item. Somebody else can can make it.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with having this board sit down and
But,
listen.
You can
and-
listen, but not
Yeah.
with the engineers. It'd have to be me, because, it's all cost, it's just,
Yeah.
they design it, that's what they're trained in, and they'll bring it to me in both prices, gravity and the waste, and low pressure. And in 99% of the cases, the low pressure is gonna be the cheaper one. So, like I said, these are just the questions we went over last time, so whatever your recommendation is.
So we have a first and second?
No, Jack
He
No,
withdrew it.
withdrew his,
I withdrew my recommendation to approve
so we don't
that,
have a recommendation on the
that
floor.
item.
Okay. I'm going to make a recommendation to,
How about a motion? Let's get a motion.
a motion to approve DEP grant wastewater gravity and low pressure recommendation.
Is there a second? No. Motion fails for lack of a second.
Okay. Last one. We're looking for a recommendation on, hang on a sec, where it is. Looking for the size of the Lake Placid Regional Utility Area recommendation. The three things were, do we grow, do we stay the same, or do we get smaller? I'm just looking for recommendation from the board. As we discussed, we got a lot on our plate on what area we have now. So basically that's, and then, I don't know, I think it was Jack mentioned that, maybe keep it the same, and in the future, we can expand from there. But,
If we don't grow, does that mean Sebring can start,
yes,
they can include it in theirs, and then now we're
They-
out,
they
kind of a
could,
thing?
yep,
It's kind of a
that's-
territory thing?
that's
You
what
got to
Highland-
stake your own claim?
yeah, but that's such a ways away, I can't see them developing that at this time.
Sure, yeah.
So I don't know if you can revisit this with Highland County. They do it every 5 years, don't they? Their
Think so.
comp plan, so,
Do a study anyway.
right, so whatever your recommendation on that?
I would recommend that for now, we keep it the same as it is. Take care of our own areas first and then start moving out.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Jack's moved that we keep our regional area the same for now. Is there a second?
Can I second it? I don't know.
You don't know if it should stay the same or not? Okay.
It's a conflict of interest because I'm from plastics.
Okay.
Okay,
Fails for lack of a second then.
no second on that one, okay.
Yeah, I can't second it, right? I mean, I don't even know why I vote. I mean, to me, chairmans don't vote, but
Right, so, okay, so that's, no second on that one, and I guess we can go on to old business. I have nothing else.
old business, utility director report. Mr. Byrd.
Yeah, want to pull up my report? Didn't bring it with me.
Just so we understand, those decisions are going to be made. We're just not recommending anything for it. Okay?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I said all these things are going to be decided. We just have a chance to give them our input to
Right,
kind of steer the way we think it should go based on our expertise.
Pull up my director's report. I can't see you back there. She's hiding. There she is. Recently, we've had meter reading towers installed. They're in service now. That'll give us the capability of reading the meters and getting the information back here, Town Hall. Chlorine gas to liquid chlorine conversion at Tomoka Water Plant. We are working on installing chlorine skid and pumps and piping now. That'd probably be done by the end of the month. Gas cylinders are coming hard to find, so. Let's see. The water asset management plan being produced by Florida Water and funded by DEP is completed. You guys voted on that today. Wastewater plant construction is on pacing for completion in February of 26. Only Engineering is overseeing the project and it's moving forward at approximately 45%. Lake Placid C3 water main loan application is waiting on the bulk water agreement with Bert Harris and staff over at Camp and Conference. Main Street in Marquardt and South Plant Lift Stations is ongoing. We're waiting on structures and control pumps and control panels, and generator has been ordered. Benoni Engineering is performing technical services over the construction of the Marquardt Main Street lift stations and South Wastewater Treatment Facility pumping. It's a pumping station, which is a lift station, and installation of the force main on Lake Mirror Drive has been installed except for the bore under the railroad track to 27 and the connection on Lake Drive East. And hopefully those should be done here, those connections probably within the next couple of weeks, and they're waiting on structures at the south plant. Pipe bursting project has been completed, submitted to DP, and has approved bid into service, and working closeout documents for the CDBG grant. So that project's 99% done. Can we scroll up? And that's the end of that one, so, okay.
Okay. I have one or two questions.
Sure.
On the wastewater treatment, the new wastewater treatment plant, right? Have there been any change orders, and if so, an approximate dollar amount?
There has been 2 change orders. It was an upgrade of the VFDs. That was, I believe, $20,000. And a change order because for bringing in Duke Energy from the sub-pole up to the new transformer, and I believe that was like $8,000.
Okay, so.
But they're minimal.
Minimal,
I'm trying
yeah.
to keep them down.
Minimal, yeah, okay. One other thing.
Sure.
I heard, and I don't know whether it's true or not, that's why I'm asking you, right? That there were some problems with the Camp and Conference Center, the lift station that we installed, it not working right, or?
No, the other night we had the big storm, I think it was like a week ago, lightning strike, took it out. I received a call from actually KDL. They're doing our lift stations. One of their employees drove by. There wasn't an overspill, it was just coming up to the top. Went out there, had the guys out there for a few hours. Push resets, we finally got her going. So,
Oh, okay.
So, nope, she's up and running fine.
All right.
It was
Now,
just lightning.
all right. Now, I guess at the last meeting, I think you said that the Camp and Conference Center hadn't done their portion yet to get their storage going to that lift station. What's the status of that?
As far as I know, I haven't really talked to them, but they were connecting their buildings to the lift station per DEP consent order. So I'm not sure what their standard, where they're at in that process.
Okay, but it's still not done as far as...
So I'm thinking that lift station filled up from the rainstorm. They must have something open in there. So we are going to have to go by and take a look, but we just
Okay,
been busy,
so
but
we're ready to go, but they're not ready to go, it appears,
correct.
right now.
Yep. So,
Okay,
Yep. No, it came right back up, so it's good shape.
thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Pam Fentress, following up with Camping Conference Center. So we talk about cash flow and having money and revenue. So still to date, there's no sewer revenue coming from the Camping Conference Center, correct? Or not?
Correct, we're setting the account up now.
Okay. So when, I understand lightning delay, I know that they're closing or abandoning their individual septic tanks currently. So does anybody know, like a month from now, let's say everything starts running and they start pumping to the town's north plant, or whatever you want to call it. Do you know approximately how much money per month that revenue will bring in, or have we looked at that?
The revenue will be based on,
An estimate and not?
no, the flows at that lift station, because they're the only ones hooked to it.
Okay.
And then we'll estimate the bill on the flows.
So that's something for this committee I think you would want to keep track of, is the money coming in, or how that goes. And I'm going to go back to the bulk water agreement that's on here. It's been here just saying the same thing for 6 months, that it's in between the two attorneys for the bulk water agreement. This has been going on for years. It was supposed to be done mid-2024, even before that, January 24, then mid-2024, then 100% done by December. I mean, not just the agreement, in the ground, line up and running, and that's how you were going to measure the sewer. Then it was December 2024. Then it was summer 2025, and even when Kevin was here, by the end of 2025. And y'all still don't have a bulk water agreement between the conference center and the town. So something like this, and it's been going, and it's nothing on you. I hope you don't take this as any kind of criticism.
Absolutely not.
But what's it going to take to get either the town attorney or the conference center attorney? What's the status update besides just a generic update? And that's big, because it comes in along with the plan, sewer and water being co-located, and you may not care about that 100%, but according to the state, according to the comp plan, that is the policy, the land development regulations that you're operating under. The town is in the county, co-location with water and sewer. So how do you get it to move forward? And I don't know the answer to this, but then when you're trying to decide where will sewer go, where will the next thing go? You have Lake Drive East that has central sewer there. That's a tying-in junction right there with Lake Mere Drive. And we keep on jumping around to different areas, and I don't see the plan. And I know over time, people, new council members, old different opinions, but I think it's critical to keep on track of some of these things that should have already been done, and I just don't understand what the delay is. So I don't know, Matt, if you want to do a resolution from this committee to get the town council to have a resolution, or whatever it takes, but I would think it would be important, not just for revenue part of it, but also for the planning and the visioning and the roundtable discussions that y'all are trying to have. Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Council member? Okay. Well, seeing none, we'll adjourn the meeting, 2:39. Thank you.
All right, thank you.